Welcome, everybody, to Dead Talk Live. And tonight, our special guest is writer, producer, director Scott B. Hansen. Scott, thank you for being on the show. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. And I was like looking at your body of work, and it is obvious you are a horror fan. You know,
Oh,
you
huge.
you love horror. It comes through in your work. When you decided to start making films, what would you say was your biggest inspiration?
Definitely Aliens, James Cameron. When I was growing up, definitely any Cameron movie was huge. My dad accidentally let me watch The Thing when I was growing up, the Kurt Russell one, and I just that kind of blew my mind, uh, being so young. But yeah, I think it's just just growing up in the '80s. I'm an '80s kid, and I
So
just
my
had so many amazing movies from like Predator to Gremlins to like Phantasm to like there's hundreds of epic movies, and just being surrounded by that at a young age, I was just kind of still enthralled. I still go back.
So when you decided that you wanted to get into the movie business, like I said, you're a writer, you're a producer, you're a director, you're an editor, cinematographer. Which field did you, when you first got started, did you want to start your focus on?
Yeah, so actually none of them. It's all an accident, which is hilarious. I didn't I didn't even know anything about movies, like or like making movies like 15 years ago. And I was I've always been an artist. I've always drawn, actually. And I used to draw monsters, and I wanted to work for Marvel and do comic books. So I went to Savannah College of Art and Design for comic books or sequential art.
Uh huh.
And yeah, I just had a roommate there, and he was doing this short film class. And he was like, "Hey, you want to help me on this short film?" And I was like, "I have no idea what that even is, but sure, why not?" And I just, he had to make a little horror short, and I was like, "Well, I can make a monster for you. I'm pretty sure I can figure it out." And I just got hooked. I got obsessed.
That's
And
right. You also do special effects.
yeah, well, yeah, that's how I got into everything, was through special effects. And I was just like in college, and I would do 48 hours and pranks on my friends. And uh, yeah, then I got into working at a haunted house, which really just took me to just learning about acting and moving. And
So,
um,
so tell us about that first experiment project that you took on for yourself, like your first project. Was it a short? Walk us through that.
yeah, it was actually a music video. It was a music video, and that was like my first. Well, that project I did with my buddy, he that was for him, and it was terrible. It was awful, and, and he quit video after that. He was like, "Nah, I can't do this." So like after that, I was just like, "Well, okay." And I was in a metal band at the time, and I was like in college, just every direction, no idea what I wanted to do. And I was like, "All right, let's try this, let's try that." And I was just starting doing special effects. I met directors, met cinematographers, and I was just kind of, sucking up everything. I was a sponge, trying to figure
Yeah.
out everything. Like, what could I do? And just the music videos kind of caught on. And I mean, that's kind of what I'm known for nowadays, is music videos.
Hmm.
But I've, the goal has always been to transition to film. Um, so like, yeah, the last 5, 6 years, like, been doing a lot of indie films and
Hmm.
movies. Yeah, just been
No,
going.
you have a very impressive resume. Let's talk about the writing for a little bit. For me,
Yeah.
imagination. I have a good. I think I have a good imagination. You have a great imagination, but taking that imagination and putting it on paper
Yeah.
into a screenplay is very, very difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Do you find it difficult? Does it come easy for you? What are some of the methods you use?
I feel like I have a lot of the stuff that I go through is like stuff I've either lived, or like I've been like secondhand, in contact with, and just experienced in a weird way. Uh, I've just I've my family is extremely poor growing up, so like, I grew up in not good areas
Hmm.
and dealt with all kinds of weird, bad things that make a good horror movie, and from house break-ins to like murders and all kinds of stuff. So
And that leads
I
me to my next question. You're a horror filmmaker, but you have not boxed yourself in to just slasher movies or to
Yep.
just paranormal. You do the whole spectrum, and we all know that horror has a lot of subgenres.
Yeah.
You like to explore them all. Is that because you have a love of all the various types of horror out there?
Yeah, I mean, I respect all the types of horror. Yeah, I think I try to play with everything. I'm always trying something new. Even with Bad Candy, we people thought it was like an anthology, at first, and they were comparing it to Trick or Treat. But it was like, people were like, "Oh, wait, this is a movie about a town, a weird,
Yeah.
fucked up town." And I was like, "Yeah, it's not really an anthology. It's more of an anthology about a weird town. The town is the character, and all these pieces are the characters.
And
So
and we're gonna get really deep into Bad Candy, but I gotta point out when I was watching Bad Candy, what really stood out to me was the amazing cinematography, the colors that
yeah,
you used and you brought together into this great story. So when you're behind that camera and you're directing, how important is like the visual imagery, like colors and such?
I mean, it's so important, and it goes back to like the drawing days. Honestly, like anything that goes on film, like all the frames were pre-drawn and like just kind of figured out. I mean, I definitely took 2.5, almost 3 years to make Bad Candy. So it's like, I mean, I storyboarded most of the film myself. Um, and we did concept art and all that stuff. But I was just like, I was really inspired by Guardians of the Galaxy, the way they did their
Yeah,
color, James Gunn. And I hadn't seen a horror movie, maybe Color Out of Space, another gorgeous horror film.
yeah.
But I was just like, really inspired by that, and just was like, I'm a Halloween freak, and I was like, I love Halloween, I love horror, and I was just wanted something extremely colorful to kind of correlate with the holiday, just come out big time in the colors.
Now, the movie, if you read the synopsis, it still is labeled as an anthology, but it's
Yep.
not. As people sit down and they watch it, yeah, it's various different stories, but they're all interconnected. Uh, let's talk about the creatures, the demons,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call them in the movie. Were they all designed by yourself?
Not all of them. We had an amazing effects guy do the big bat creature, which is named Dracubus.
That was
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, and Wayne is like, Wayne is like, just he's a mega star in the special effects world. And I just reached out to him. I was like, hey, I'm a fan. He did the Predator suit in
Yeah,
2017. He did Jurassic World. So for me, it's like reaching out to like, like a Steve Wang who
yeah,
used to do the old Predator suits, and the Guyver, if you remember that old school
yeah.
movie. That's all Steve Wang, and Jurassic Park. And Wayne is like the new version. He's like the 22 version of that. And I was just like, hey, uh, we're doing this small film. I need this monster. And what are you up to? And sure enough, he was in New Zealand working on Avatar 2 for James Cameron. And I'm
Wow.
like, oh my God, that's amazing. And I was like, hey, we're filming in Atlanta. I can fly you out. And he's like, yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to try indie stuff because
That
he
is
comes
so
off,
awesome.
yeah, it comes off massive movies. So like having somebody that stature like come on to some tiny film and just I was a fan. Besides directing with him and working with him, I was just a fan, and I was just like, hey, come out.
And
I'd
that's a
love to.
great point on the horror community.
Yeah.
Filmmakers and whatnot. It's not all about the fame or the money or the glory. They love doing what they're doing because they love the work.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
so when you got to work together, what was that experience like?
Yeah, he had a great time. I think sometimes when you're on those bigger movies, like you just get it's hundreds and thousands of crew members and people yelling at you. And, I picked him up from the airport. We had a beer, had some tacos, talked about the movie and what we were going to do the next day. So, he was like, man, this is the most relaxed I've ever been
Hmm.
making a movie. And I was like, well, look, my job is to make you feel comfortable so you can be at your A game bringing this monster, because trying to make this weird horror Halloween movie, and we don't have a trick or treat budget. We have pennies, and I need your A game. So I want you to be creative tomorrow and ready to go. And he killed it. He was awesome.
Absolutely. Now the clown, that creepy ass clown, was that you?
Yeah, that's been something I've been playing with for a couple years now, and um, I was in a few of the outfits, funny enough, but yeah, that's bad. That is Bad Candy. That's the name of the movie, obviously, and that's the clown. But yeah, he's just he's kind of like he's a he's a good clown, like yeah. If you
That's
watch
yeah.
it, he's if you watch it, or whatever, they're always trying to kill the kids or fuck with the kids, and this is like, if you watch Terrifier, he's killing people for funny reasons, but this clown Bad Candy is trying to like help the kids, in a
Exactly.
positive way, and he's protecting the holiday, and that's what he's all about.
And as you're watching the film, it's a story. It's sort of like a vigilante. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? The
Yep.
clown, and throughout the whole movie, there's like this undertone of good people taking care of the bad people and taking justice into their own hands.
Oh
When
yeah.
you were writing it, was that your premise?
Yeah. I mean, we wanted to. I have a lot of veteran friends in the community, like just friends in general, and I was just like, man, I've never seen a Halloween movie where a bunch of veterans, who are just cleaners, they're gonna clean up their town. Now it was like that'd be kind of fun, on Halloween night, where they're rounding up people and just killing them in funny ways, but they're giving them a chance to live if they can escape. But it was we just thought that was a fun story, something I hadn't seen before.
I don't know if, how many people who watched the movie picked this up, but you had the star of Gremlins in the
Yeah.
movie, and I love the little part where the DJ goes to him, just make sure you don't eat after midnight.
Oh yeah.
I love
Yep.
that. I love that. And the way you brought all, I don't want to say different stories, but the way you brought it all together in the end was really great. And the association with the radio station host into what was going on with the stories they were telling was
Yep.
also beautifully done. So hats off to you
Thank
on
you.
that.
Yeah, Corey
Now,
was great. Yeah, Corey and Zach, and they had a blast in that line. He Zach was like, Zach doesn't, he gets gremlins all day, 24/7. So if you drop, he was like specific, no gremlins jokes, right? And I was like, all right, that's cool. So, the DJ was Corey Taylor from Slipknot.
mhm.
So, and he was a fan of Slipknot. So I just was like, hey, Corey, we got to do this. We got to fucking, because I love the challenge actors. And I was like, I love Gremlins. I love Zach. But you gotta say this line. And he just like did it. And Zach just gave an honest response. It was hilarious and
So that
beautiful.
was not scripted.
Not scripted. I was just, because it was against it in the contract, but I was like, hey, I gotta do it. I gotta throw some shade at you for Gremlins, and gotta have fun with the moment. And he did it, and it was hilarious. And
That
it stayed in there.
that's a great story. The whole radio station is, of course, is a way of bringing all this, again, stories, but the different scenarios together. Did you play around with different ideas other than a radio station and
Well, we
Halloween
actually
night hosts?
well, no, yeah, it was that was always the idea. We actually Zach was a replacement for I'd actually originally casted Sid Haig
Mm,
uh, when right before he passed in Three from Hell,
yeah.
which actually set us back. Rest in peace, Sid Haig. Love Sid, amazing. But Zach was a replacement for him, because we couldn't find anybody. Because I was like, we got the news that Sid passed, and then it was like, well, it took us like 6 months to find somebody, and then Zach just happened to move to Atlanta, and it was like, oh well, hey, Zach Galligan's here. I was like, no way, that's impossible. That's crazy. That's perfect. It's meant to be. And he read the script, and He's like he never gets to play really good bad guys, and I was like, let's do it, and he had a fun time.
I love that twist in the end where he was involved.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to writing and then on to directing, do you love having control over what you write behind the camera when it comes time to film it?
Yeah, I mean, they say you make a movie three times: when you write it, then you film it, and then you edit it. So I love to like have everything pretty tight, but there is a lot of times when you're rolling and magic just happens, and like this actor accidentally messes up a line or says something else, and it just works better. Or there's some kind of chemistry you didn't expect
Yeah.
before, and it's kind of like baking a cake. You're going with the ingredients of the script, and you have to put it in the oven and film it, and then whatever comes out is just you're hoping for the best, and you're sometimes you get really good results, and it's just you got to have all the right ingredients, I think.
Did you also edit Bad Candy as well?
I funded it with music videos, and me and the co-director, my wife Desiree, we do a lot of music videos and stuff. That's our day job: metal videos, rock videos, country videos. So we would do a music video, and then go back into the script, and they're like, all right, we're shooting this scene, and being that it was like different vignettes, we could hop around.
Okay.
um,
That's perfect. Now, one of the characters in the film is dealing with PTSD. Where did that idea come from? Was that we all know horror is a great platform for social commentary and to talk about some serious issues out there. Was the PTSD a part of that?
yeah, I mean, I have a lot of friends with it, and it's always I have a lot of my brother. He served, and he's in Korea right now. And I grew up in Virginia Beach, so it's a huge Navy town, military town.
I'm in
So that's
Virginia now as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm from Virginia Beach. I live in Atlanta now, but I grew up in Virginia Beach, and Norfolk, is a massive
Oh
naval
yeah.
base.
Oh yeah.
And I just being around that all those years, um, you see it a lot, and it makes for good script stuff, good
Absolutely.
situation stuff, and you can kind of tap into it a little bit, I think. So
In previous interviews, you mentioned some of the challenges you had in filming Bad Candy, like weather related stuff. It was cold.
oh yeah,
So, would you say Bad Candy has been the most challenging film you've had to do to date, or not?
definitely. I mean, it was like 60 some actors. um and when people watch it, they're like, oh, it reminds me of Trick or Treat, which I'm like, that's amazing. I That's amazing that you say Trick or Treat. We don't have enough trick or treats.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I say to people. I'm like, we need more trick or treats. And Bad Candy was just a weird concept and fun script that we wanted to throw in the pot of awesome Halloween movies you can watch every Halloween. And
Mm-hmm.
in October, and yeah, it was definitely hard to make. Trick or Treat's a $15 million film. Bad Candy's a $92,000 film.
Wow.
It's a Bad Candy is like, you know, peanuts. That's
Yeah.
what I tell people. Like, they expect Trick or Treat. I'm like, I wish I had Trick or Treat's budget. Maybe in the next movie or the movie after that, we'll see. But
Yeah.
it's a $90,000. That's like their food budget on Trick or Treat, and we tried to make it look as epic as possible, pulling every stop that I could. We built all the sets in my studio. I have a studio in Atlanta. But yeah, I mean, everything kind of stems from financing for music videos,
Oh,
and
yeah.
all
I
that
would
stuff.
never have guessed 90,000. I would have put it maybe at a quarter million. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's tough. I hate to even talk budget, but people are like, they like to compare it to Trick or Treat. I'm like, Trick or Treat was $15 million.
hmm
That was a big movie, you
Yeah.
know, and I love it. I love Krampus, and I'm like, there's just not enough of those, I think. So
I agree. I totally agree. Now, you got the money together, you filmed it. How were you gonna, did you get a distributor while you were filming? Because that happens sometimes. You go through the film festival circuit. How did you end up landing a distributor?
well, yeah, it was tough because COVID hit, and it was like, whoa. what do you do now? And so I was like, well, this is a good time since the world shut down. It's a great time for film festivals. And I
Hmm.
submitted it to like, I think 120 film festivals. And I mean, it's done incredible. I've never had the response with Bad Candy that we had. It won 27 film festivals to date and
Wow.
over 93 awards total, uh,
Congratulations.
which is crazy because it's like, I've done other movies that, are just different movies. Well, this is only a third movie, but, you never know what to expect. And I think Bad Candy it's kind of funny, it's dark, and it's weird, and it's cinematic, and there's some great kills and social
It's
commentary like you were talking
and
about,
it
and
has a great story.
there's a fun story and it wraps it up at the end. But it's not like like a Tales from Halloween. It's not like
Yeah.
a bunch of individual stories. They all connect in a way.
Yeah.
So
Now, moving forward in your career in filmmaking, and staying with the horror theme, do you have like a respect if you ever do want to make like a true anthology type film, different short stories, putting them together and that sort of
yeah,
thing?
man. Yeah, I love anthologies. I was supposed to be working on this anthology TV show called not Black Mirror, Black Veil.
Mm-hmm.
It's from the director who did shit. It's Blair Witch, the Blair Witch director,
Yeah,
most famous horror movie of all time,
yeah.
or one of them. But yeah, I'm working on that's an anthology TV show. He's shopping to Hulu, and we're supposed to start that pretty soon. So that's kind of cool to do that. And then we actually wrote Bad Candy 2. We're like almost done. So we plan on coming back with a sequel just due to the response, and it made its budget back. So, that's we're just trying to do another one.
When did Bad? If it came out in 2020, was that like the festival release? When did it actually hit video on
Yeah, it
demand?
actually came out in 2021, so October last year. Yeah,
Okay.
2020 was I think the Grimfest
Mm-hmm.
release in England. So yeah, we did I think it was 35 theaters. It did, which is for an indie film to get 35 theaters for a week is pretty.
That's pretty damn good.
It's during a damn pandemic is so tough. Like I've never that was my first theater release, honestly. So during a pandemic too, it makes it a lot harder. But
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Now, one of the most shocking elements of the movie is the Uber Dracula. Okay,
yeah,
that is
yeah.
a shocker right there, and how that particular sequence unfolds. Walk us through. How did you come up with that?
I just I got well, you mean like the scene with the Dracubus, or like just all throughout?
When he picks up that prostitute, takes her to the
Yeah,
field, and then the big reveal of everything, all those guys chained up and all that.
yeah. That was so. The funny part about all the people in the Pumpkinheads is they didn't know what they were doing when I did the casting. So I just casted a bunch of random people, and I was like, "Hey, we're doing some weird stuff in the woods. This is the pay. That's it." And so like you start putting pumpkins. Oh, there was like a nudity thing or whatever. So people knew it was going to be weird. But so everybody shows up, and I'm like, all right, well, hey, here's a pumpkin, and have my effects guys help me out, and we're putting pumpkins on people's heads, and they're in their underwear and all that. And it's like, all right, this is really weird. And I just kind of set everybody up to respond to the giant creature.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody had any idea you're going to see a 12-foot demon bat walking around chasing you. And
Uh-huh.
I think that comes from my haunter. Like when I worked at a haunted house, like
Uh-huh.
just kind of like, catching people off guard and getting great reactions. Because sometimes the best acting is reacting,
Mm-hmm.
scaring the shit out of people, even though they're all actors. And they signed up to be on a movie, but they had no idea what they were doing. And it was really funny, honestly, to be in that situation.
I,
But
I I can tell you have like a sort of technique. You want to get like true authenticity,
yeah,
like by shock or adding stuff into the script,
yep.
and I think great. It works out perfectly in the film. So I want to ask you this question: as you're editing a film, obviously you're editing post production takes months, okay,
Yep.
to put it all together. After spending day after day editing the film, uh, and let the day comes where you could say, okay, I'm done. Have you lost at that point a perspective because you've been working on this film every day for the last several months in
Oh
post
yeah.
production, where you don't get the enjoyment to sit back and sort of watch the final product with a fresh point of view?
Yeah, you gotta separate yourself. You gotta take breaks. I think breaks are really important. I have a lot of friends too, where I kind of, um, I would send them a cut or a scene. Somebody I trust, like a good buddy of mine, John Mustenhop, who did Texas Chainsaw 3D. That
Yeah.
was one of my first big jobs, and when I lived in LA. And he's done like mega movies, and I would send him a scene and be like, "Oh, what do you think of this, John?" And he'd be like, "Wow, that's crazy," and what the hell is that thing running in the background? And I have different friends in different areas, and some of the best critique people are sometimes not even in the horror community. Be just a different genre where they
Mm-hmm.
excel at a different genre, and I would just test out different people. And then we did audience testing. I was trying to kind of follow what the bigger movies do. Where they actually get people you don't know together, and
Yeah.
you get them. You do a screen test and see what's going on and what's not working, and that's the joy of editing. You can, if there's something not working, you can go back in and fix it and reshoot it or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so,
Let's talk a little bit about the possession experiment.
yeah,
Okay. Another great film, spooky, scary. Obviously, it's a paranormal film.
yeah.
Uh, Tell us about that. What was your inspiration for that?
Yeah, that was I was doing a lot of documentary stuff from that point in time, and I'd actually met a few people who were a part of a real exorcism in Brazil, and just some of the stories they were telling me, and I knew these people really well, and they were just like the stuff they were telling me, it just sounded too incredible to be
Yeah.
true, and I was just like, this is your fucking movie, right? That like, it was just be like they were just telling me about stuff they saw and just weird stuff in different countries. The Philippines, it was just a buddy of mine. He was traveling and doing a religious documentary, and it was just like I was really inspired by him, and he showed me some videos, real life exorcisms in different countries, and just the way that is interpreted in different countries is so much more extreme than in America.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's just it was bizarre, and it was like really eye opening. And I was just like, man, uh, I interviewed some real exorcists who, there was one in DC I interviewed, and I was just trying to learn more about it.
Mm-hmm.
I interviewed one in Seattle, and I didn't know like there was like you could go to Richmond, Virginia, and there are literally two exorcists, and that's what they do. And I was just like, you think about exorcism, and it's like, oh, that's only in like Rome or
Yeah. The
whatever.
Vatican and
Not
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, the Vatican, just how they picture in the movie. And I was like, well, that'd be kind of cool. I didn't know it was so close. I didn't know it was like a local thing. If you look hard enough, you could find them.
Yeah.
Uh, and I just thought that was pretty cool. So, and just kind of basing a concept around a kid that self-possesses himself
Mm-hmm.
in the name of science. It was just we hadn't seen that yet. I didn't think, and it was just a fun concept to try.
It
And
was.
that was the first movie. That was the very first movie, so we learned a lot. And that prepped us for the other films. So.
Now, from the movies you have made so far, do you have a fondness for any particular one, or are they all like your babies? They're all your kids. You love them equally.
Yeah, I mean, I love them all equally. I would say Bad Candy is definitely are, you know, I look normal, but I'm weird as hell. Like Bad Candy is totally me. That's shit I think about. That shit that we write about. Desiree, who co-wrote the film, we're strange people. We're strange creative people, and that is like our social commentary, on the world. And if you see my house on Halloween, it is like lit up for 30 days. We start September 30th. So and we go the whole month and 3 or 4 days after, and we just love Halloween, and it's just the best time of year, honestly. So
Do you still? I mean, I'm sure you do, but as you go from film to film now, you keep learning more and more, and you carry that over into the next project.
definitely, definitely, yeah. I mean, we learned so much from Possession Experiment to Bully, and then getting on Bad Candy. Um, it was tough because nobody wanted to finance it. It's so hard to find
Oh yeah,
investors for a movie. It's you try a lot, and it's not easy. It's not an easy process. So kind of taking it on, I was like, this is the movie I want to do. I want to do a movie that's an indie Halloween movie, and we have no backer, we have no budget, but we're gonna figure it out, and that's what we did. It took a couple of years.
determination.
Yeah.
As a director, what would you say when you directed your first feature film? What was the thing that surprised you, that caught you off guard?
um I would say just the funny, maybe like feeding people. That's probably the hardest thing overall. Like I never expected that, but like when we Possession, we got to work with Bill, and that was amazing, incredible. And
Hmm.
Bill Mosley, and
Yeah,
he was just treating him. You don't know how to treat him. You have to figure it out, and everything's kind of riding on you. And it just some of the food requests were kind of funny, and I think he was fucking with me a little bit just to get me used to things. But like he only
let's
wanted,
screw with the new director.
yeah, he wanted to get me, and he got me good. And but I delivered, and he was like, after the shoot, he was like, man, this is like one of the most relaxed shoots I've ever been on. There's no producers yelling at people. And I lived in LA. I did my time. I grew up in Virginia, moved to LA, and I just, all I saw everywhere was, you go on a big movie set, people are yelling
Yeah,
all day. The director yells at you all day. I was a PA on movies, like, there's a lot of assholes,
yeah,
and I just don't see, I never saw the positive reinforcement of being a dick. So I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to
yeah.
make movies, make actors feel relaxed, and make it a creative space. And
Because
I
at
kind of,
the if you do it that way, your end result is going to reflect on the screen.
exactly. And I've walked away from, you know, we've sold scripts to the big studios that got shelved, and it was
Hmm.
just like, you think it's your big break, and then all of a sudden, oh, 4 years goes by, 5 years goes by, and
Hmm.
it's like, oh well, I'm just gonna make my own movies. And
Yeah,
that's kind of what happened. And I was like, I'm gonna move to Atlanta and start making my own movies. And that's kind of what we've been doing for the last 5, 6 years. We were just kind of fed up with, trying to get that big break, which if you don't make it for yourself, it's not going to happen.
you see
So
that is so key. That is so important, as opposed to people thinking you just got to wait by the phone. You
yeah,
got to go out and make your own opportunities in this business.
you
This
have to.
business is brutal. Like you
It's
said,
so brutal.
you sold stories and now they end up sitting on the shelf collecting dust. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So you definitely got to go out and make your own opportunities. Within the horror genre, uh, two parts. As a
Yeah.
filmmaker, which subgenre do you enjoy making? As a fan, which subgenre do you enjoy watching?
Hmm. I would say, as a fan watching sci-fi horror, I love
Like
sci-fi
Alien,
horror.
Predators.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I love Color Out of Space. I love that Psycho Gorman movie that
Have you
came
ever
out.
seen Event Horizon?
I love Event Horizon. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
I love Event Horizon. It's just so crazy. Even now, watching it now,
Mm-hmm.
it's so like just amazing. Oh, it's my cat
That's your
Pennywise.
cat? Yeah. No.
His name
You.
is Pennywise after the clown. Uh, but I love Event Horizon. Man, there's so many good movies that are sci-fi horror, and that is my goal, is to get to sci-fi horror, which is way more money. So I'm trying to work that out, in the next hopefully decade. I want to get to sci-fi horror because I love that space. Um, Definitely a goal to get there.
So you definitely want to make, moving forward, one of your goals is to make like a sci-fi horror.
Love,
Would you is it something that you have already written,
Oh
or
yeah,
have ideas for?
yeah. I already got a script already ready to go. It's just gonna cost me like $5 million. So
Yeah.
we figured that part out. Keep doing some more indies, and maybe I'll catch somebody's eye. That's the goal, I guess. And or I'll get lucky with some Bitcoin. I don't know.
That is so
uh,
awesome.
yeah, it's a goal, so we'll see. But I got a movie we wrote. We're actually Bad Candy was so well received. We're huge Marvel fans, so we kind of created our own little horror universe.
Hmm.
So we wrote another movie called The Virginia Bitches after Virginia.
Hmm.
But it's about four chicks in a metal band who are vampires, and they break down in a small town that's full of cannibals led by a warlock. So
Wow.
that's the next movie. Wrote that after Bad Candy, but we put up an Indiegogo this week actually, and we got some big names in that. We got some big names in metal and we
Nice.
got few names. But that movie, takes place right around the corner from New Salem. It's the next town
Yeah.
over. So
Which is
you'll
where
see,
Bad Candy takes place. Yeah.
yeah, so you'll see a lot of the characters you saw in Bad Candy crisscross,
Yeah.
and this is just a totally different story driving down the road, and it just kind of, if people would love New Salem, this is going to be even crazier. And then we're almost done with Bad Candy's sequel. Because
Oh,
there's
so
somebody
there
that,
is going to be a sequel.
oh, definitely, yeah, we wrote it, and I'm trying to get somebody who I'm a huge fan of, that liked the first script, but
Hmm.
we couldn't afford him, and he goes by Ash. So yeah, we're gonna get him. I'm
All
gonna get him.
right. All
We're
right.
gonna get we're gonna get him. I'm gonna try. And being an Evil Dead fan, I have to try. But he loved the script, but he's big time. So we're gonna come after him to see if I can get him on the sequel.
Bruce Campbell, man, that's no small thing. So,
Yeah, he's a goal.
IMDb lists several projects that are either in production or post production. Which one should we as fans be looking out for to come out fairly recently? I mean, fairly
Yeah,
soon.
I think the Virginia Bitches, the vampire movie, will be next, and then yeah, that's definitely next. So I start on that pretty soon, actually. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, so that's gonna be next, and then I'm hoping for Bad. I wanted to give Bad Candy a year to kind of be out, and kind of like just it's one of those sleeper hits. I think that'll come
Yeah,
around,
word of mouth. Word of
word of
mouth.
mouth.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have I mean, we sold it to a distributor and had a nice push. But during a pandemic, I think all the movies it's tough. If you're not on Netflix or if you're not on HBO Max or in the theaters, like you're
It's a big transition happening now. The
huge.
entertainment industry is in the middle of remaking itself, and it's
It
it's
is.
it's still in the middle of remake because I predicted, and it is happening. You're seeing a lot of mergers
Yeah,
happening.
it's
Warner
wild.
Brothers is merging with Discovery. All these different mergers. So it's going to take a little while for everything to settle down. But
Yep.
one thing that's not deniable is that I'm not saying theaters are going to go away, but everything is really going to be focused on in home video on demand streaming.
I think so too. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's a
Scott,
big plus. So yeah,
this has been a fascinating interview. Thank you so much
thank you.
for coming on here and sharing all those great stories. Guys, Bad Candy is available. It's available on Amazon Prime as long as you're a Prime member, correct?
Yeah, there's a Blu-ray on Amazon, um, you and DVD and all that, and then we'll be at all the horror cons. We'll be at Days of the Dead in Atlanta with Corey Taylor. He'll be signing autographs.
Nice.
That's February 25th, 26th in Atlanta, and then we'll be going to the Vegas one after that later on in Chicago and all that. But
Beautiful, beautiful. Guys, check out Bad Candy. It's a great story. Don't pay too much mind to the synopsis where it says it's an anthology. It is different sequences, but it's all together. It's all related. It's all interconnected. Any final thoughts you want to share, Scott, before we go?
No, I just yeah, we're on Facebook and Instagram at Bad Candy Film. Check it out. Give us a watch. Check it out.
Absolutely.
You love
Absolutely.
Halloween. This is for you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So thank you to Scott B. Hansen for tuning in. Thank you to all, I guess, for tuning in live and those who are going to be watching this later on. On behalf of me and Scott, stay safe and stay walking,
thank you.
guys. Bye bye.
All right, appreciate it, sir. Thank you.